Let me take you back. Years ago, I was young, newly married, and pregnant. Sounds like the beginning of a dream, right? Wrong. It was the perfect recipe for isolation. Most of the people my age were either in college or finishing high school. I, on the other hand, had a beautiful home, thanks to my husband's well-paying job. I wasn't flaunting it, but even having nice things at that age set me apart, and not in a good way. I was lonely. Really lonely. So I did what many of us might do when we're aching for connection. I tried to make friends with people around my age. That's when I reconnected with a girl who was still in high school. We had some mutual acquaintances, and she seemed sweet enough. At first. She started coming over often, hanging out, eating meals with me. I welcomed her. Fed her. Laughed with her. And then, one evening, she asked if she could bring a friend to dinner. I said, sure, why not? That night seemed normal, until her friend asked to use the bathroom. My husband and I pointed her down the hall. We didn't think twice. Why would we? But that was the moment everything started to unravel. Fast forward a week. I go to find the pearl earrings my husband gave me on our wedding day, gorgeous, delicate, accented with diamonds. And they're gone. We turned the house upside down. Every drawer. Every nook. Nothing. My husband reassured me, you probably misplaced them. We'll find them. But I knew something was off. We hadn't vacuumed, moved furniture, nothing. I knew where I kept those earrings. Still, we let it go, for a little while. Then, the other shoe dropped. I checked one of our checking accounts, the one my husband set up as a potential business fund. We barely used it. And now? It was nearly $1,000 in the red. Overdraft fees piled high, $25, over and over again, stacked on top of dozens of small purchases from local mall stores. All places that catered to teen girls. It hit me like a gut punch. That debit card? It wasn't even in my purse. It was in our master bedroom, the one place no guest should ever have entered. My mind raced. We'd had very few guests recently. The card didn't move unless we moved it. And now it was maxed out and then some? That's when the picture started coming into focus. The earrings. The overdrafts. The so-called friend. I was livid. Not just because of the money or the sentimental jewelry. But because I had trusted someone, invited them into my home, treated them like a sister, and they spit in my face. So I started digging. I called every store that showed up on the statement. Most didn't have security footage. But one did. They had just installed cameras recently and agreed to give the footage to the police if I filed a report. Then I called the bank. They told me I could dispute the charges, but only if I declared them fraudulent. That would launch a formal investigation. The overdraft fees would only be reversed if I did that. And I had a short window to make that decision. The magic number for a felony in our area? $2,000. We were at about $1,000 in overdraft charges and purchases. Add the earrings, worth around $800, and we were dangerously close. So I made my move. I contacted my friend. Told her the tragic news. Hey, someone we had over that night must have stolen my wedding earrings. And our debit card. They charged it up at the mall, and now we're out over $2,000. She was shocked. Sympathetic. That's awful, she said. But then, I dropped a little white lie. I said we were planning to file felony charges. She suddenly got cagey, really cagey. She muttered something about how it would be really hard to prove anything because, quote, most stores at that mall don't have cameras. And there it was. Confirmation. She knew exactly what had happened. I told her, very casually, mind you, that one of the stores did have cameras. And they were handing the footage to the police. The silence on the other end? Deafening. She mumbled something about needing to go and hung up. 30 minutes later, she showed up at my house. Not only did she return my pearl earrings and debit card, she also brought a diamond ring that had belonged to my great-aunt. I didn't even know it was missing. Her story? Oh, it was Oscar-worthy. She hadn't stolen anything, of course. It was all her friend. The girl had snuck upstairs while pretending to go to the bathroom. And she? She was just in a tough spot and didn't want to betray her friend. I asked her flat out, "So you knew this happened and said nothing?" She started crying. Said it was complicated. Said she was involved but didn't mean to be. Turns out, she and 3 other girls had used my card. All of them shopping like they hit the jackpot, knowing full well they'd stolen it. I was done. I told her that unless I got the names of everyone involved, and the contact information for their parents, I was filing the report. Felony charges. No bluff. She gave it up. I called every parent. Explained what happened. Told them their kids had one chance, repay every dime. I made it clear this was time sensitive, because I was ready to press charges if they didn't make me whole. The parents? Mortified. Grateful for the chance. The teens? Not so lucky. They were forced to get jobs, fast. Weekends, nights, wherever they could. And every paycheck? Straight to me. At one point, my former friend had the audacity to ask me why the amount seemed so high. I smiled. Well, that's what happens when you overdraft a bank account and rack up $25 fees over and over. The bank won't reverse them unless I declare fraud. And if I do that, you're looking at felony charges. So, really, you're getting a discount. She also asked if they could have more time. I looked her dead in the eye and asked, "Why would I trust you after everything you did?" She had no answer. In the end, I got everything back. My earrings. My aunt's ring. Every penny stolen. But the best part? Knowing that their little teenage shopping spree turned into weeks of miserable work, awkward conversations with their parents, and the very real fear of seeing their names in a courtroom docket. They thought they could rob me without consequences. They thought being young would protect them. They were wrong. Sometimes, justice doesn't come from screaming or slamming doors. Sometimes, it comes from calm, calculated consequences that make people earn their way back, dollar by dollar. Karma didn't just knock. She sent the invoice. If that revenge story gave you chills, go ahead and smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories that serve justice the way it's meant to be served. And hey, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Drop it in the comments. We're reading every one.